One of the privileges of being the President of the Chartered Institute of Housing is that I have the chance to select a charity to raise funds for during the year. I have chosen the Child Poverty Action Group, CPAG. In my view, there is a direct link between housing and child poverty, and I think the situation is going to worsen for children and families, and particularly for people living in the communities we work in. This is the agenda that CPAG works to address, and that is the reason I have chosen them to be my presidential charity. I think child poverty matters, and I think it should matter to the housing industry. But why? Well, firstly, it should matter to us as a society. The UK is one of the wealthiest countries in the world, but despite this, 3.6 million children currently live in poverty. And it's estimated that by 2020, as many as 1 million more children will be living in poverty in the UK, taking the total up to almost 4.6 million children. Children who are living in poverty are almost twice as likely to live in substandard housing, and it's calculated that poverty costs society around £25 billion a year. These statistics are shocking enough, but for us, the true scale of the problem and why it really matters to us is because the effects of child poverty are very real for children and families living in our homes or hoping to live in our homes, and particularly the communities where we all work. So it matters to us as a housing industry because we see and experience daily the impact of child poverty. Children living in poverty have a lower life expectancy. There's greater risk of illness, including asthma, diabetes and anemia, and the mortality rate is higher among children born into poverty. Their educational attainment is impaired. By the age of 3, children living in poverty are already 9 months behind their education, and by the time those on free school meals leave primary school, they are 3 terms behind their peers. Children from low-income families struggle to keep up at school, and this is worsened as teachers report more children arriving at school hungry. When they leave school, they have fewer qualifications. This translates into lower earnings over the course of their working lives, and so the whole cycle threatens to begin again. Children are affected by the stigma attached to being poor. This is one of the most damaging factors cited by those living in poverty, being treated differently or being excluded from everyday activities. No child should have to feel ashamed about the conditions they live in. As a result, parents are being forced into making impossible choices. Many poor working families are skipping meals in order to heat their homes. In just 2 years, we've seen a sharp rise in food poverty and the use of food banks. In the last year alone, the number of people using food banks has almost trebled to nearly 350,000 families. In everyday terms, these costs will have a real and devastating impact on communities. The good homes that we all are committed to providing help improve children's lives and their life chances. That is why it matters to you, to me, and to the housing industry. As housing professionals, we can make a difference to child poverty. We can help improve the lives of the children in our communities. I would really appreciate your help in supporting this year's presidential charity, an organisation that tackles child poverty in our communities and campaigns for a fair start in life for every child in the UK. But I know you will want your contribution to make a real difference, and I want to guarantee to you that it will. So, for example, just £10 will update 2,000 advice workers on the front line of family support on the latest benefit changes. £50 buys an hour's free specialist advice for frontline workers, and £100 will fund a free training place for voluntary organisations that support children living in poverty. You can keep up to date with the latest progress on our partnership with CPAG and the impact of our joint projects via CIH's Presidential Appeal page. So if you wish to help, just follow the actions on screen to see how you can make a real difference.